大家好，欢迎大家来到今日点击周末视频。上期节目当中呢，跟大家分享过2个视频，一个是讲人的超能力，另外就是一个轮回转世。那我注意了一下呢，这1个星期里面呢，几十万的朋友看过那视频，很多朋友留言觉得挺特别，挺有意思。那我也跟大家交代过，希望在我们后面的时间里面呢，能够多找一些相应的内容。在这期节目当中呢，我们同样是类似的，就是上一期节目提到有关人的能力的时候呢，是上半部。那在这期节目当中呢，我们先跟大家分享下半部。另外一期节目呢，就是有关人的轮回转世。大概我们安排是这么个安排。其实提到人的能力呢，我们每一个人，我个人认为我们每一个人都有一些自己很特别的能力，只不过呢，是我们自己呢，有点疑惑，吃不准。这种能力的显示，这种特别能力的显示，其实有一个共性，往往是在我们不经心、不经意的时候，我们会感觉到我们比如说对某些事儿突然猜着了。没有理由的意识到了，甚至有些朋友可能稀里马虎的突然听见什么人跟他说话，然后明明知道是有人在跟他说，可是看不见这人，也摸不准这话是什么时候说的。大家朋友，你想想自个儿，一定有的。我个人呢有一个很特别的有意思的东西，最近呢，感觉到我说不清楚，咱就算是一种能力了。你比如说中午想太累了睡会儿觉，往沙发上一躺10分钟，到10分钟准起来。有的时候呢是自个儿醒了，有的时候到10分钟呢电话响了，反正有各种各样的原因把自个儿弄起来。你可以说甭管是打个雷呀、电话呀，随便什么声儿，但是有一样东西准，10分钟。不信您就试一把，反正涛哥自己有点这个意思，但涛哥解释不清楚，说干嘛到10分钟就醒了，不知道。但是我想10分钟醒，他肯定能让我醒。
I'm taking him to the San Diego State University Math Department to see what they think of his abilities.
Oh, hi.
The students and professors seem skeptical of Scott's claim to be faster than a calculator. So Scott decides to demonstrate his incredible talent by calculating the day of the week of any given date in history.
So if you guys have a date in your life that's special to you, like a wedding or a kid's birthday or
To figure this out, Scott must make numerous complex calculations in a split second.
So if we start with you, you have a date special to you?
October 1st, 1944.
October, and this is your birthday?
Yes.
October 1st, 44 was a Sunday. You turned 18 in 1962 on a Monday.
True.
Yeah, all right,
true.
okay.
All true.
August 18, 2007.
That was a Saturday. Okay, all right.
March 22nd, 1983.
That was a Tuesday.
No one in the world can do this faster than
That
Scott.
was a Saturday.
December 16th, 1980.
Tuesday.
2nd of July, 1986.
Wednesday.
The students are clearly impressed. Now I want to see how they compare to Scott.
I was hoping maybe I could pick some mathematicians out of the audience and go toe-to-toe with him. Anybody game for that? All right, you guys
Can
ready to
4
do it?
mathematicians armed with calculators and a computer compete with Scott's amazing ability?
You guys can use your calculators, your laptops, your cell phones, call your dad or your mom, whatever you got to do.
We have a series of 10 problems. Scott and the team from San Diego State, armed with calculators, will compete for this. Here we are. Ready? We'll start with the multiplication of 2 two-digit numbers. Ready? The numbers are 39 times 78.
302. 3042.
3042 is correct. Scott got it first. 249 divided by 7.
35.571428.
Correct.
Wow.
All right.
Scott's speed is baffling everyone in the room.
A cube root. 314432.
68.
Correct. The non-zero base is 32.
32.
The number is 67.
99, 166, 233, 300, 367, 434, 501, 568, 6535, 702, 769.
As the challenges get harder, Scott is actually getting faster.
Okay, starting with a base of 0 and adding 10 times. The number is 48.
96, 144, 192, 240, 288, 3136, 384, 442, 480.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was good.
Correct. Very good. That concludes the exam. Spectacular.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
So how do you guys feel getting beat?
Humbled.
Humbled?
Such a shame.
What do you think of Scott? Do you think he's really a human calculator?
I'd say yes.
Definitely.
I think it is a particularly rare phenomenon that we're viewing here. There probably aren't more than a half dozen people in the world who have the capacities that Scott does.
But what is it that makes Scott different from the rest of us? How is his brain able to work so fast?
Through the years, I've had different hypotheses about why I can do what I can do. I still don't feel like I have a real good answer to that question yet, though.
I'm Daniel Browning Smith, and I am a superhuman. My search for other superhumans has brought me to San Diego, where human calculator Scott Flansburgh has amazed mathematicians with his unique ability.
Ready? 249 divided by 7.
35.571428.
They're certainly the most extraordinary skills I've ever witnessed.
Like me, Scott Flansburgh looks just like a regular guy, but underneath, we possess rare genetic gifts. The human calculator is totally superhuman in my book, but what will Stan Lee make of Scott's incredible abilities?
That kind of mental agility is way beyond normal human capabilities. And it's this power of the mind that's sometimes overlooked when searching for superhumans. Let's see what Daniel makes of this next extraordinary human being. Amazingly, he seems to have developed a super sense.
As normal humans, we're already blessed with some amazing powers, our senses. But the man I'm on the way to meet may have pushed one of these senses to a superhuman level. That's because one who is actually blind. And unbelievably, I heard he can visualize the world around him by seeing what he hears. I think this is it. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking for a guy named Juan.
That's me.
But how can a blind man be riding a bike?
I use a technique called echolocation, which is sound waves bouncing off objects, similar to what a bat or a dolphin may use.
Have you always been able to do that?
Yeah, I have. Since birth, I just adapted naturally.
A man with an ability that I thought only existed in the animal world? This I've got to investigate. I know Juan has been completely blind since birth, but does he really have a superpower? He challenges me to join him for a ride around his neighborhood. Juan seems to be finding his way around by clicking his tongue and listening to the echo. When people are blinded early in life, they can develop better hearing than sighted people. They do this by adapting the part of the brain that's normally associated with sight. But what Juan is doing goes way beyond that.
You can tell it was there, huh?
Yeah, no, of course.
It seems Juan is somehow interpreting sound waves to visualize objects like parked cars.
There's
Did
a car.
it again. It's a car, and you know what these things are. It's incredible.
I'm amazed that Juan can use this extra sense to identify and steer around obstacles. But how will he do in less familiar surroundings?
Pretty good, I think.
Where are the keys?
Oh, come on, man. I'll drive this time.
All right.
You can drive on the way home.
I'll drive on the freeway.
To test Juan's ability, I'm taken into the busy streets of Santa Monica. With all the background noise, will Juan be able to use his extraordinary sense to identify objects?
I got something to our right. I want you to see if you can figure it out, okay?
All right, cool. Maybe a bicycle rack?
You're totally spot on.
We got two things.
Yes, definitely got two things.
I would think that to my right would be something like a trash can, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Ooh.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so we have something real big coming up here.
Oh, you can tell already.
Telephone booths.
Yeah, that's incredible. I can't believe you can do that.
Despite being totally blind, Juan really can't see the world around him using only sound waves. This technique is used by bats to hunt at night and called echolocation. To find out if Juan is really superhuman, I'm taking him to a cave outside LA to meet one of North America's top bat scientists.
Hey, you must be Daniel.
Yes, and you must be
Paul
Paul.
Ford. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Paul.
Daniel,
Juan.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how Juan's able to do echolocation, but how does it work in the animal world?
Well, for bats, there's two ways they produce sounds. One way is they use their larynx, like you and I, and they make sounds just like we're making speech sounds right now. But there's another group of bats that actually clicks their tongues, and so they make very, very broadband signals like clicking their tongues. Then reflects off targets, like an insect, or trees, or buildings, or rocks, cliff faces. The echo comes back in the form of the sound wave, and the bat judges the distance based upon the time delay between outgoing pulse and the returning echo.
Wow, well, that's exactly what Juan does.
Really?
I can tell Paul is eager to study his first ever human bat. Juan leads us into the darkness, using only his tongue clicks to guide him.
So this sounds like about a 15 to 20 foot wide cave.
That's correct.
And it seems as though the roof is getting a little bit lower to my left.
It is? Wow.
We have one way going that way and another one going that way.
That's incredible.
Paul is amazed as the echoes from Juan's tongue clicks enable him to map his surroundings.
Wow.
那这个片子里面呢，15分钟呢，表现出了人的一些能力。其实我看过这片子的时候呢，给我突然想到一个概念，还是我多次提到的。你比如说，我们知道我们人眼睛看东西啊，是可见光照射到物体上，从物体上再反射到我们眼睛里，透过视网膜再转到泥丸宫，最后我们就看见了，挺费事儿。你看多麻烦，照上反射过来，眼睛看不着，还得转射到这个泥丸宫里面，最后看着了。这是我们人解释的，医学上现代科学解释的。但同时呢，在光学当中也提到，可见光在我们今天人整个认识到的光谱当中呢，是非常窄的，所占的份额很少，而不可见光的光谱呢，却占的份额很大。咱们就咂摸咂摸，如果我们真实的自己，大家注意到，眼睛看东西可不是眼睛真看见，是把眼睛被反射进来的物体再传导到泥丸宫里面。那有修炼的朋友可能就知道，有时候我们那魂儿就真实的我们自个儿就在泥丸宫里头蹲着呢。可能是有些朋友不相信就不相信了。反正物理上我们是可以知道说，眼睛呢只不过是起到了一个传递的功能，眼睛并不是真实的捕捉到落实了那个物体上。如果我们有个本事，真实的那个泥丸宫里面的那自个儿能够看见不可见光谱的东西，也就是说，我们的眼睛实际把我们自己束缚在可见光的光谱的范围了。抛开这个眼睛，搞不好我们就能看见更多的东西。您说那特异功能是不是它就有这点本事啊？它如果能够突破可见光光谱对眼睛的限制，它可能就看见更多的了。它也就叫超级的本事，它也就叫超级能力了。
Yeah, we were pretty puzzled about it.
Then one day, Ron Ortega brought a set of old photos home, and something even more remarkable occurred.
And I said, oh, look, look at this old photograph. And he came up to it and he goes, oh, there's me. I mean, I was like, just totally astounded, you know. It just stopped me, you know, cold. I mean, because how would he know that?
Gus would make more statements like that over the course of the next years. He would recollect episodes of his grandfather's life that even Ron could hardly remember. And he was there. Gus knew more about his grandfather than he should have. Is this evidence of reincarnation? How else can these children remember another life? The case files of Dr. Jim Tucker will yield more clues. Sri Lanka. On his way to investigate claims of reincarnation, Professor Haraldson and his translator finally arrive at the home of Dilukshi Nisanka. She's the girl who remembers having drowned in a river and is now reborn.
Dilukshi's case is one of the best, perhaps even the best, of the cases that we have studied here in Sri Lanka.
Professor Haraldson has conducted 2 major psychological studies concerning children who remember a past life. Surprisingly, their psychological characteristics are not much different from children who never report such memories, except for one crucial difference.
In the studies I have made on the psychological characteristics, you even find that some of these children tend to have what we call a post-traumatic stress disorder. The question is, how does it get there? They have not experienced anything particularly death-threatening in this life, but they have these images of having died in another life. This may be the reason for this apparent post-traumatic stress disorder.
Has Dilukshi really lived before?
These children, they are experiencing something real. It is psychologically real. They have these images of what they interpret as of a past life, and some of these are concerned with how they died in the alleged previous life. And that's usually a painful way of death. It's a violent death, unexpected death, sudden death.
Could Dilukshi just be making her stories up?
If they were making up some fantasies, then one would expect them rather to make up some fantasies of a better life or something that would be of some satisfaction to them. But to think about how they died is not really a pleasurable fantasy.
For the Nisanka family, Dilukshi's memories are painful. Every time they talk about it, they are reminded that Dilukshi does not feel part of their family. It is especially difficult for her mother.
She first started speaking of her previous life when we took her to Montessori preschool. She also mentioned when we went to the temple that her temple was in a different place. And when we had our meals and went to bed at night, she would again mention her previous life.
In fact, I had become so irritated by what she was saying that I beat her once.
I felt very bad about all of this. Dilukshi was constantly speaking about her previous family. It felt as if she was condemning me for being a bad mother, for not looking after her properly.
Could you tell us what it is that she still remembers?
There was a footbridge across the stream near my house. People from the village would walk across the bridge and bathe in the stream. There was a rock near my house where I used to play shop with my friends. I have always felt that I don't belong in my present family. Their furniture and belongings are different from the family I remember. I remembered very clearly the clothes and goods of my previous family. From my earliest memories, I felt like an outsider, and that I must do whatever I could to find my real family.
Which means these memories are real to Delukshi.
The day I died, I went to the stream to swim with a friend of mine. And then, somebody pushed me. I was in the water when I died.
When I was Grandpa Augie, I died in the hospital. When I went to heaven, God gave me a card. Everybody with a card like that is allowed to come back. I want it to come back.
The Ortega home in Colorado. Jim Tucker from the University of Virginia cannot just reject what little Gus has to say about a previous life.
There are certainly a lot of people who will simply dismiss this work because it disagrees too much with their assumptions about how the world works. But to dismiss something because it disagrees with your assumptions is really not very scientific. So we have this phenomenon, and we have the evidence that it's involved with this phenomenon. So the scientific approach is to explore it and learn all we can about it.
The Ortega home in Colorado. Dr. Jim Tucker is interviewing Gus Ortega. Gus claims to have lived before as his grandfather.
And how about your grandmother?
Yeah.
And were you a little boy when you were doing that, or was that when you were big? That's when you were big?
Is Gus telling the truth? Tucker has no way of knowing. That is why the most crucial information in many cases come from the parents. Jim Tucker interviews Kathy and Ron Ortega. Standard procedure.
And when was the next time that he said something that suggested he had information, that he knew things about your dad?
Gus said, I had a sister, but she died. She's a fish now. And we said, she's a fish? What do you mean? What happened?
这10分钟呢，又谈轮回转世。轮回转世呢，大概我们分成5集。我们今天看到的是第2集。其实看过这么多呢，我注意到一个现象啊，这不是100%的准呐。我们看到一现象，你看那印度人在描绘他的时候，说上辈子好像还在印度；那个白人描绘他上辈子的时候是个白人老头，还是白人。而白人去的地方呢，就像这视频里说的，说老头死了之后呢，他自个儿走了，死了之后呢，上天堂了，上帝给了他一个卡，后来他又回来了。 没这个卡的就回不来，没这个卡的回不来，也就是说，上帝允许他回来，他才能回来。上帝要不允许他回来，他还回不来。第一个，第二个，那印度人呢，一直围绕着印度那块转悠，这白人呢，围绕白人那头转悠。我们看过很多中国人的轮回转世的一些故事，不是片子，是文章里介绍。他好像比如比较有名的是一个在海南的，海南的那个呢，他第二次转生的时候，离他原来那地方呢100多里地，还是那块地方。我就突然想起中国人说那话，叫一方水土啊，养一方人，这是一个词儿。另外一个词儿，在我们看到的很多信仰当中呢，其实不同的信仰都把自己所信仰的那个主神也好啊，佛也好啊，他信仰的宗教也好，都当成是天上唯一的，这是唯一的，天上只有这一个神，这一个佛，这一个道我所信的是唯一的。我们就这么理解了啊，跟我们看到这个节目不一定是对的啊，只是我个人站在这个角度上，我们去理解。那你会发觉，你看那白人他转世完了之后还是白人，他到了上帝那儿去，那是不是就应该说，这个白人创造白人的那个神，那个上帝是白人的神，那个上帝创造这个印度人的那个佛也好，或者什么神仙也好，他是管那块的。那中国人的这块呢，可能他有管中国人这块。也就是说呢，不同的人种呢，它上面对应着不同的神、佛、道。那如果不是的话，那我们看到这些轮回转世的这种技术，它就是给我这样的印象，可能对，可能不对。但是如果这么去理解的话呢，这个角度去认识的话呢，我觉得起码我能认识到现今我们在很多宗教信仰当中，为什么不同的人会强调自己的信仰是唯一的。如果从这个角度上说呢，是能理解的。白人有白人的信仰，因为它对应的是上帝；那印度人有印度人的信仰，它对应的是他自己的神。那至于人呢，其实单纯从人的角度上说呢，可以确定一点，人我们现实的生活是个假的，我们轮回转世那个生命是真的，那个生命呢钻到这个人这儿呢，就像个衣服进来了，哎，我今儿穿的是汗衫，明儿走了换了一件西服，再走了穿了一件背心儿。人的身体就像这西服、汗衫和背心儿，而真实的我们自己呢，在这个时间当中呢，被神明安排的。为什么这么安排的呢？可能下期就有结果了。那好，这期节目就到这里，谢谢大家，再见。